just so I can give you a little bit of knowledge. This is something why I think that I've come to a conclusion why we are all here today. And it's something because we identify each other as the 99%, all of us. And what that means is we have a value, that we see ourselves as valuable, and that we as a group coming together, we're very valuable and we're empowered to do stuff. And I want to share these. Right now we live in a culture that doesn't value human life. Human life has a very, very low value. It has like a literal monetary value. And that monetary value compared to the amount of money that's in existence is next to nothing. They value people at a very low rate. And what I'm trying to say today is that every single human being has an intrinsic value. That means that every human being has a right to be here and to be liberty and freedom. And one way that we are being controlled is the structure of the economic system that we live within is been molded by our culture. And our culture is something that we get through our media and through our stories and through the way that we live and all of the memes that we hear throughout our growing up. We're kind of built by what our parents have told us and what stories that we've come across throughout our lifehood. And so if you look at our culture, we arose from a culture that came from kings and monarchs, and then we slowly developed into a more democratic culture. And what we're in between is this last grip of people that want control and domination over the world's resources. The banks that we're fighting, they want to commodify everything in the world. I just posted on our group page, there's a new advertisements for the banks. They have a fish and it has a barcode on it. And it says at the bottom that very soon everything will be a private property, and your bank, this bank is the best bank to put your assets in. And it's just ludicrous. They want to say that everything in the world is going to be taken into private property. There's going to be no commons. So the common space that we're all sharing here today, it will be a private entity. Just like we're talking about how all of our public spaces, our public services are going to be privatized. So this culture that we live in, it's very authoritarian. And if you look at some of the candidates who are running for office, if you were to look at political spheres, you have a cross that goes liberal and conservative, and on top you have authoritarian, and you have liberty. You have the idea that you don't have authority over you, that your authority comes from within, that you are your authority. And so this structure is very pyramid shaped. You have the people at top that have all the control and the power, and the people at the bottom maintain that power and that control. And what we all kind of come here and talk about and discuss is this idea of coming together and creating more of an equitable system. And so the picture that I have is a buckyball. It's this idea that there's a molecule called a buckyball. It was found using nanotechnology. It's carbon units, and the carbons all connect together. And when they all connect together, they become extremely strong. If you just have carbon units connected and they weren't connected in this way and they weren't organized, they weren't very strong. But when you connect them together, they become very strong. So it's about how we organize and how we structure ourselves that things can change. And that's why the way that we do consensus and general assembly is very important, because all of us have a way to connect with each other and share with each other. There's no authority. No one's telling us what to do. And so the most important thing that we can do is to spread the new culture that we're spreading and doing and living right now. We want to start to spread a culture of more about partnership. It's going to be about changing our values and our morality and what we respect and what we look towards. And it's not going to be a culture that subordinates women and that looks down on women and that says that human beings are flawed and dangerous, so we need all these prisons. You know, these people, they're very scary. We need to lock them away. But humans have many possibilities, so we want to expand the possibilities that human beings have. if anyone wants to check the time, or I want to get a temperature check, can I keep talking? Would you like me to keep talking? Yes? Okay. So I just have this sheet. I want to share it. It came from this book called The Real Wealth of Nations. And I really recommend everyone to start reading their books. I bring a book every time. The word libre, Latin, means to liberate. The idea of liberty comes from books. If you liberate your mind, you can liberate your world. And so we all got to start to think and to realize that what we ingest and what we read and what we consume is very important for us. We want to start changing the story. So start reading a book and not getting knowledge, and then you can spread that knowledge. But anyways, this book is all about how caring for the human beings will increase our economy and get our economy going. That we talk about not having enough jobs, but we have plenty of work to do. We have work taking care of each other. We have work taking care of the earth and taking care of the planet and the animals. We have all this work that needs to be done, and so for them to say that we don't have any jobs, it's only because all of our economy is geared in a certain wrong way. And so this book talks about that. I just wanted to share it. If anyone wants to read it, it's a really good read. I also have another book called The Tipping Point. So I know I've heard it online. Oh man, you know, our numbers are going down. Oh, I'm just worried, you know, no one's showing up to the GAs. But if we keep going at it, over the next couple years, things are going to change dramatically here in America. So we need to be the beacon that people can come to and learn this new culture, because the old culture is falling apart. The authoritarian type of structure that we live within is falling apart, and we need a new structure. And if we don't have this new structure, then there's just going to be new tyrants that come up and try and take power and try to tell us what we should be doing and try and take control away from us. And we're already noticing it with all the new laws that they're trying to pass, trying to control the internet and control all of these different things that the government is trying to take control of that. So this is another good book, and it talks about a tipping point. It talks about making connections and how over time a movement can grow. And these strong connections that we're making here at the General Assembly is how it will grow. It's not going to be people liking a Facebook page. You know, we have 200, 300 Facebook likes. Where are they? You know, it's us showing up, being here, doing something, and actually participating, putting our minds together and showing up. So I just want to thank you. And before we leave, because I'm moderating, I want to ask all of us to get together, as we did in the very beginning, and hold hands and just say thank you. I just want to say thank you and gratitude. Question, go ahead.
I actually want to just comment on something. This is the buckyball.
Yeah.
And you know, this actually does what I've been telling everybody all along. Change comes from the smallest up, not from the top down. The strength in this comes by taking the smallest things and uniting them together to create the buckyball. That's what we have to look at doing. Forget about the president. Let's look at the places where we live in our immediate communities, gather together in our strength, and change the things we want to see change.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Barbara's got something to say about what...
I love your thoughts on a book club, on a book, reading a book. What about starting a book club, taking one book a month and reading it, whoever wants to, and discussing the book afterwards? So make us read it, force us to read it.
At the GA.
I was in
library.
A book club with several protesters, about 10 of us. We had a blast. Every month we met, picked a book, you know, whatever, and decided on the book, whoever suggested it. It was excellent. Forced you to read. So I would love to become more educated, but I don't always get around to reading these books. But if we had a book club, there's no question, I would definitely read it. Anyone want to suggest a book club? Okay, I'll organize it.
Why don't we just pick one of those books?
Yeah, which one?
The tipping point.
Is that good?
Just so we can get our morale up and maybe get new ideas in our head.
Books a million, 20% off. That book's a million.
Oh yeah, I got this on Amazon.
What about the library? I love to get books in the library without
library.
buying. I have so many books. We prefer a library book.
Read on the internet.
I give you a search and see if I can come up
Read on the internet.
with a copy. Very
Now
often.
I got a
Yeah,
cold.
because I hate for us to have to buy them.